Lord forgive me for this trap shit. Sergeant Smack make it backflip. Telly Hank it with the action. With the vital speaking Spanish. Frank Matthews how I vanish. Poof. Came back like I'm King Tut. Gold BBS is on a beamer. When Fat Cat was 10 queens up. Ball off the profit, not the re-up. Fly like Puerto Rican Jesus. Uptown like I'm Baby May. Just caught a touchdown from the bay.
Whoever was on the phone said, hey, is Third Base still coming to LA? And she said yes, and the voice said, good, they're dead, and hung up the phone. So Carmen, being the sensible person, doesn't just be like, oh, whatever. Calls Russell and says, hey, I think we might have a problem with Third Base in Los Angeles. I think I just got a death threat. So Lior had a dude who worked with him from Los Angeles named Big D. And Big D was also the day-to-day security for Run DMC. So Lior calls Big D. And Big D says, well, the person we need to call is Eric B. Eric B will know. Eric B calls Russell and goes, yeah, it's true. There's a hit. Rolling 60 Crips, 30,000 members, $50,000. Dead. So Russell says to Eric B, well, how do we stop this? And Eric says, nah, you should just let it happen, and hangs up the phone. Russell, in some way, shape, or form, gets in touch with Mike Concepcion. And Mike confirms what's going on. But Mike says that he can control it and that they shouldn't worry because the only thing that will happen is they'll just break our legs. But we'll still be able to do TV from the waist up. And Russell says, well, listen, how do we protect them completely? And Mike says, well, I need two things. He goes, first of all, I got this record called We're All in the Same Gang, and I need some help kind of figuring out a label situation, so if you could help me with that. But the second thing is, tonight's the American Music Awards, and I want to sit next to Michael Jackson. Russell called Donnie Einer, who was the chairman of CBS, and said, I need your tickets for the American Music Awards. I got a guy who needs to sit next to Michael Jackson. Needless to say, they tell me the story. And in typical New York fashion, I'm like, this is all bullshit.
Once I did We All the Same Gang, it was guys all in the pen talking about thanks, big homie, and I love you, and all this other kind of stuff.
Right when I leash your easy's no sellout. And if you can't hang in the streets, then get the hell out. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. You have your own freedom of choice who to listen to. You know,
Black men were being demonized in this country, and people felt a need to talk about, that Public Enemy. When they did, I got a letter from the government. All those different things, I think, spoke to the time and what was happening with young men being harassed by the police, not being able to go to college, not having access to capital, affirmative action being attacked, all the different things that still exist today. There was a new voice and a new consciousness rising up.
We got all the rappers together. We got people from different gangs out here. We got Hoovers, Shotguns, Bloods, and Crips all together to make the point that we are all in the same game.
We trying to make a difference in this, and so we want everybody to start getting involved in this, not just the gang members and a few of the rap artists. We want the R&B people, the rock people. We just want to let everybody know that we all in the same game.
And Mike Concepcion.
No, but I'm going to introduce Mike, but there's another brother. It's mainly Brother Hockter. Okay, he's talking now too, though, but just want to let him know we hadn't forgot about him. Okay, before we open it up for questions, I do want to introduce hip-hop pioneer Mike Concepcion, who reflect on conflicts in hip-hop. I'm very glad to have him.
My name is Mike Concepcion, and I'm known as the peacemaker in the hip-hop world. But this is not about Russell. This is about the hip-hop world. But when you're talking about the hip-hop world, you got to talk about Russell. And what has Russell brought to me, I'm one of the guys that one of the guys who created the gangs on the West Coast in LA. I had no directions, and I was a real illiterate person. And when I got involved with Russell and Teddy Riley, they gave me a vision. And the vision is to know who I am. And to know who I am is to turn around and want to make it in life. I was always thought that if you couldn't read and write, you had no directions. But once I got involved with Russell, he showed me about the music business. And the music business has turned around and made me own a lot of property in my community, which I own 16 buildings now, and half of them paid off. And from owning all those buildings, I turned around and took a lot of my friends that came out of prison and turned around and injected what I know about the hip hop world and involved them into it. And now some of them turn around and own apartment buildings and homes. And I'm hoping that, by being here, that a lot of other people that's in the hip hop world can take heed to what I'm talking about and start going back to their community and turn around, start buying it up, where we can kind of control a lot of things. And I mean control, government and stuff like this here. Because I feel that's the only way that we're gonna turn around and get a lot of justice. And I really got to thank the hip hop world and Russell Simmons and Teddy Riley for giving me an opportunity to live. Because I never expected to live past 21. Didn't care if I lived past 21. But now I care. And now I care about people, and I hope that a lot of other people on the East Coast and West Coast turn around, start caring. Because any kind of violence or any stuff is just don't get nowhere. I got 50 homeboys on death row, and a lot of them were good guys. And now I know myself that, hey man, if you want it and you work real hard, it's gonna happen for you. And I like to thank Russell and the hip hop world for giving me this opportunity to sit here and talk today.
Thank you very much.
And he was cool now instead of New Music Seminar. We're talking about violence, and black-on-black crime is one of the issues touched on by this man here, Mike Concepcion, creator of the We're All in the Same Gang, the whole concept behind that. Mike, there's some people that are maybe watching the show and they may say, why should I, be part of this We're All in the Same Gang thing, man? Can you tell me a little bit about how you got involved and why they should?
Well, one of the reasons why I can speak on it because I'm one of the guys that created the most largest gangs out there. And I felt if anybody should talk about this problem, it should be me. And I felt through my experience with all the different gangs, all the gang violence, the shooting, different stuff like this here, I want to see that kids don't turn around and run into the same problems that I ran into. What kids don't understand that they can turn around and get in the gang, go out there and shoot at somebody, but what they don't fail to realize that they can leave a house and another kid, the kids that they went out there and shoot at can come back looking for them, and they happen to not be at home, and their mother and father or sister might be in there, and they turn around and don't see the individual that went out to shoot at them at home. They turn around and kill their mother and father and stuff like this here, and I'm trying to prevent things like this here. That's one of the reasons why I got all these gangs, all these different rappers on all the same gang project to do this project so kids could turn around and start getting a better outlook on life for us.
Thank you. This weekend, Mayor Tom Bradley, LA police officers and gang members, along with my next guest, will all join together to start something called Peace Weekend. And as Bill said, hopefully it'll be Peace Life. The goal of Peace Weekend is to stop crime and violence among our nation's youth. Here to talk about it, first of all, the gentleman whose brainchild it was, Mike Concepcion, and rap artist Tone Loc and Ice-T. Give it up for them. Yeah. How you doing, man?
I'm doing okay.
You ain't nervous, I ain't gonna stop. You just relax. Mike, where did this all come from?
Well, I'm one of the original members of the largest gangs it is, and I just got tired of seeing all the killing, and I said if somebody going to try to stop a lot of the killers, it should be somebody one of the persons that created it. So I just went out and talked to all my friends that's on this rap project and asked them would they anticipate in doing a rap show, a rap song where we can hope that a lot of the youth today listen to it and take heed to it where they stop all the killing.
Through gang violence, you actually ended up with this.
Yeah.
Tone, you're from LA. You know the whole gang thing. Can this weekend expand to something larger? Can it help at all?
It's kind of like, it's like baking a cake here. This is like one ingredient, but it needs so many other ingredients. It's like eggs to a cake, but you can't make that cake without milk, without butter and everything else. This is just like a stepping stone in a way. This is one song that, nobody's ignorant to the fact it's not going to stop it. But with a peace rally or with marches or, just everybody really finally want to see it come to an end, then it's possible. Because all you really got to do is get them while they're young.
Yeah.
Give them a little swift kick in the behind and a tall can of straighten up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Let me address this next question to Ice. Bill and I were talking about the reasons why it all exists. Talk to us about that. Let's talk about the economics of it. Let's talk about the source.
Well, like right now, the gang situation, as you know, it isn't like it used to be. It used to be people killing different neighborhoods, fights, and things like that. But now it's more an economic thing. It's money involved. There's lots of drugs, and it's a whole different game. They could have stopped it back in the days when it was first starting, when I was involved in it, because it was just basically behind colors, but nobody cared. And last year, like I said last time when I was on your show last year, a woman got killed in Westwood, and all of a sudden there was 70,000 gang members in Los Angeles. And they didn't join that night. It was something that took 20 years to breed, but it came out from the ghettos. Now the problem that's going on here is people don't care about anything unless it happens in their backyard. What's going on in South Central Los Angeles and a lot of the other ghettos in the United States, it's going to come to the suburbs eventually, and we all have to care. We all being in the same gang means we are all in the same gang. We're all in the human race, and we all have to work together. White people have to care about black people. Black people have to look out for each other, just like we're doing this song. This radio stations have to play this record because we're all in this together. And you can't turn your head and say, it's not going to happen to me, because the kids from my neighborhood are going to come move into your neighborhood into the $500,000 house. Hold up. They're going to move into the $500,000 house next door to you with the money they made yesterday. And they're going to be right there, so you can't hide from it. We all have to work together, and that's education. It's about people caring about each other.
Yeah. Michael, if you could say something to kids out there, to the future, what would you say to them?
Well, I know from my experience, I know that if I would have had stayed in school and got an education and got my reading abilities and math together, I know that I probably would have never fell off into a trap as far as gangs. And, I like to say to all the kids out there, they need to stay in school and try to study real hard, and all the parents need to really start paying attention to these school organizations and also to the kids and make sure that they have a lot of reading abilities, because that's real important. Without knowing how to read and know how to do math, it's hard to get into sports, basketball, music, or any type of entertainment field or
law, medicine.
Law, right. So, that strays kids away from trying to learn, because they feel that they don't have no individual assistance, and they be too embarrassed when the teacher come and ask them to spell something in class, so they do something for attention to try to get out of class. And it's real important for kids to stay in school.
Yeah, you brought some people here today for us to meet that you're actually bringing together. Is that the story?
Yes. Well, I brought all the rappers that is going to participate on this song a little bit later on.
Mm-hmm.
And also a lot of disc jockeys. I brought Frankie Crocker from New York to show that the East Coast is involved with this. And Lynn Briggs, Jack Patterson, Mike from The Beat, and a few other people. They know who I am. They know who they are.
You also brought some gang members here.
Yes, I did. And a partner of mine by the name of Eban Kelly that deal with me and brought me in, and the guy that accepted me in Warner Brothers that gave me a chance, Leonard Richardson.
Now, these gentlemen are actually with the gang right now?
Well, they were in the gang right now. Now I'm getting them into some other things.
Changing their lives. That's good. That's good. All in the same gang or in different gangs, and now they're coming together?
The gangs. We're trying to get the gangs to come together.
That's good. That's good. We'll take a commercial. We're to come back with the song from the West Coast Rap All-Stars.
Now, when you talk about people with pull, or what people nowadays call clout, you're going to have to mention bro at the top of a lot of those lists. Yo, what up, though? Shay's Popalot. Salute the almighty MOBB. We way on the west side with it. Sunny California. I'm going to need anybody from the state that's tuned in to get downstairs in the comment box and drop a location. Today we talking about a legend. Now, I'm not quite sure how many of us can go this far back, but if you can, let's go. And if you can't, let me guide you. We're going to go back to the 1980s and the early 1990s to a time when it was chaos in Los Angeles. Now, we'll be at that precise time when Los Angeles will find itself in the grip of a gang epidemic with more than 450 street gangs with over 36,000 members that would pretty much terrorize the city, leaving a trail of violence and tragedy. It would be nearly impossible to track the statistics, with drive-by shootings becoming alarmingly common, claiming thousands of lives from that time period. It would be right around this time period when a guy by the name of Mike Concepcion, an original Crip, would see an opportunity to use his opportunity to change things. Now, way before Mike Concepcion will become a heavyweight in the entertainment industry, he would be a heavyweight on the streets. Based on my research, he would be connected to many different sets of the Crips, with people mentioned in the 60s. I seen the Hoovers, and one that stood out was the Gardena Payback Crips. GPBC, or the Gardena Payback Crips, would be formed decades ago by another well-respected OG on the West, a guy by the name of Angelo Barefoot Pookie White, or Barefoot OG Pookie, who is also said to have participated in the creation of the Crips alongside Raymond Washington of the East Side Crips and Stanley Tookie Williams of the West Side Crips. Now, I'm not quite sure of Mike's exact ties, but he definitely seemed heavily affiliated with the Payback Crips set out of Gardena, and he would be shot and paralyzed in Gardena back in 1977. And just thinking about it and trying to put it in perspective, he had to be probably one of the first people, as far as gangs was concerned, to fall victim to gun violence. Pretty much seeing that time from when the gangs would shift from fistfights to knives to the gunplay. But even with that unfortunate setback, according to almost everything I read, that still didn't stop Mike Concepcion from being active on the streets. Hearing stories how he would pull people down to his level in his wheelchair just to beat them up type shit. And one of the most interesting things I would read about Mike Concepcion is a quote from Suge Knight on exactly how he would meet Puffy, saying, quote, "I met Puffy when he had a problem with Mike Concepcion, who they would describe as a ghetto entrepreneur and reputed original member of an LA-based Crip faction. Allegedly, Suge would go on to say, quote, "The little nigga come crying to me. How you let a motherfucker in a wheelchair whip your ass?" Being able to survive gangbanging in Los Angeles in the 1980s and the 1990s is definitely an accomplishment. But if you survived it banging in a wheelchair, you deserve a gold medal. And even though gangbanging at the time was probably at its absolute height, the hip-hop industry was kind of changing a little bit, as back in 1988, popular New York artist KRS-One, alongside several other artists, would start a Stop the Violence movement to combat violence that was going on at rap concerts. And if you was around at this time, hustlers was wearing gold chains, but you would even kind of catch them rocking what we was calling black medallions, where they would have like these strings with Africa on it or something representing black people. It was almost like a second Black Power movement, with the Black Panther Party being first. Not to say that it was as much a push as then, but right around this time, you would have people wearing stuff like that. They had the movie Malcolm X or X came and was released in theaters. So it was definitely kind of some awareness of Black pride just going on at that time. And I'm going to need if any of y'all was tapped in around that time to get downstairs in the comment box so these people don't think I'm crazy. Now, during this time, KRS-One would go on to form a supergroup of sorts called the Stop the Violence movement. And they would release a song titled Self-Destruction. Now, the single would raise over $100,000 that would be donated to the National Urban League. And the group would include not only KRS-One, but Boogie Down Productions, Kumo D, MC Light, D Nice, Miss Melody, Dougie Fresh, Just Ice, Heavy D, as well as the rap group Stetsasonic. The single will be released in mid-January of 1989, and me just flashing back to that time when I was a kid, I would see this video almost blasted on the only video show that I had access to, Video Music Box, as I can't even remember if MTV or BET was around, but shit, mama was not paying for that. After being released, the song would debut at #1 on the first week of Billboard's Hot Rap Songs, going on to hold that #1 spot for 10 consecutive weeks. Not to be outdone by the East Coast, it would be less than a year before Mike Concepcion would put a team of West Coast All-Stars, where they would go on to drop their own self-destruction in a sort titled We're All in the Same Gang, and what OG Pookie would describe in an interview as essentially a power play. Mike Concepcion would use his power on the streets to really diffuse a beef between pretty much the top rapper at that time, if I can remember, MC Hammer. Though, like, in the streets, I wouldn't say he was considered the top, but in the pop charts, he was running it up. And an up-and-coming group from New York by the name of Third Base, who had dissed him on several of their tracks, mainly one of their debut songs, Gas Face, and another one that really kind of took him to the next level, where they talked about turning his mother out. Now, just stepping back in time, on the East Coast, we looked at Hammer with the clothes he was wearing, like doing all the dances and shit like that. Even though Heavy D and certain artists was dancing, Hammer was on the next level with the dances. So some people made it easy to clown that. But on the West, Hammer was certain people's idols. And I guess coming from a hood in Oakland, Hammer had pull, and with that pull, according to MC Search, a member of the group Third Base, they would say Hammer's brother would order a $50,000 hit on the group for that, and the group would essentially receive death threat calls to the label, and Russell Simmons would have to go through Mike Concepcion to defuse and to stop the alleged hit on that group. And Mike Concepcion would parlay that to a situation to where he would have a platform to release the We're All in the Same Gang record that included NWA, Above the Law, Ice-T, JJ Fad, MC Hammer, Miss Chalet, Digital Underground, pretty much a A-list cast of who's who with West Coast hip-hop, and the song would go on to be nominated for a Grammy Award for Best Rap Performance by a Duo or a Group at the 33rd Annual Grammy Awards ceremony. Though they wouldn't take home the Grammy, the single would peak at number 35 on Billboard's Hot 100 and at number 10 on Hot R&B and Rap Songs, while also having one of the most iconic music videos that I ever seen, where pretty much a kid looks like he follows his older brother and really ends up at the end of the video on a court and a movie-like scene. I would just have to advise y'all to go check that out if y'all haven't seen it. So, like, when you're talking about guys like Mike Concepcion and a lot of guys from the past and OGs and people that done did things, it's easy to say this and say that or kind of read on the internet, but a lot of times you can really get the real feel by certain people that was there, with NWA being some of the biggest, if not the biggest players on that We All in the Same Gang song, with it being produced by Dr. Dre, Eazy-E rapping the last verse on the song. NWA at that time, who was credited with starting gangster rap, would probably consider one of the hardest groups at that time. But in his biography, Jerry Heller, who was very, very close to the group and pretty much headed Ruthless Records, would say how even they got uncomfortable to a certain extent around Mike Concepcion. That's just how much power that he wielded. And to be honest, to me, for a person that would lose their ability to walk in the streets, it almost feels good to see them use their power from the streets to translate that into something else. Because y'all heard it, he would explain how it would be a situation where he couldn't even read and write, to where he owned 16 properties. And it's borderline mind-blowing to think that a guy can go from being there from the beginning stages of gangbanging to, I watched the interview with Teddy Riley, to saying how Mike Concepcion would drop him off at Madonna's house. Just wow, the 7 degrees of separation. If we talking about relevance today, I even seen where he was rumored online to be related to CEO of Top Dog Entertainment, Anthony Top Dog Tiffith, and also seen him rumored to be the uncle to West Coast rapper Kendrick Lamar. So when you talk about a person with their fingers on the game, Mike Concepcion is going to be that. Now, y'all make sure y'all hit the red bell and subscribe button right under this video so y'all know when this real trill spill shit is dropping. Y'all get in the comment box below. Y'all let me know what I missed, what I got wrong, where I need to head to, what gangsters we need to cover. Y'all hit me directly, Instagram, Twitter, POP_A_LOT. And until the next time, we appreciate the red carpet, Cali. We going to do a spin back soon. It's your ace Popalot. Salute the almighty mob.